Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your master of musical mayhem and menace, and also the host of Xenorama, the podcast of Heroes and Monsters. We haven't done a true 7-song Friday recently, so I came up with an idea I thought would be a good one. If any of you are of a certain vintage, you do remember the late night performance show Fridays, which was ABC's answer to Saturday Night Live, which ran for 3 seasons from 1980 to 1982. They featured a lot of great bands, 7 of which you'll see bits and pieces of here. And there's a reason I started with FMTV, which was our local video show here in Fossil Bed, even though it originated out of Broomfield. But before we get too much further into it, please like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought about the show Fridays in general. Let me know what you thought about the performers and the musical guests. And they had a lot. It was more difficult than I thought to choose which ones I wanted to do. Well, narrowing down like the two, after number 5. So 6 and 7. But we got some good ones here. But are you ready? Let's rock and roll. And now, on with the show.
Los Angeles Basin, it's Friday! Featuring Charles.
Well, that's the beginning, blah, 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 and it goes on with that. But here is our first song, which, of course, the artist formerly known as Tamikaze will recognize instantly because he lost a bet to me once upon a time. But we are going to start out with the same intro that began FMTV, later Teletoons, in the 80s. I wonder when that started. But you'll know it.
Ladies and gentlemen, and now, here's King
Yes, that is Eva, our progressive rock giants, long-term band, multi-generational, multi-member band. I think they had a lot of members. Anyway, this is, of course, Elephant Talk, because it's all talk. That is Adrian Belew, who brought the new wavish and pop sensibility to him. Let's listen to a little bit of this. See if we can hear any articulate accomplishments.
Advice. Articulate announcements. That's all we talk.
That would be Robert Fripp on the other guitar. All right, so that is all the talk we're going to have from this first selection. You can watch all of these videos came from YouTube, some in better quality than others. So this is Touch and Go from the Cars' third LP, Panorama, my favorite of their LPs, because it's just, I don't know, this is like the ultimate new wave song to me. It's got the blistering guitar work by Elliot Easton, the synthesizer work by Greg Hawkes, the vocals by the late Rick Ocasek, bass playing by the late Benjamin Orr, and I want to say the drummer is David Robinson, who's doing this song is in 5/8 time. How often do you hear a song in 5/8 time? I've said this before, but it's just amazing here. Let's see if we can get to the solo. The Cars were not the most exciting band live, and this episode, if I remember correctly, was atrocious. Not funny. It was on the first, I want to say in the first season. Let's see, where is it? Way up there. No, maybe the second season, but it was awful from what I remember. Now, this was a long time ago. So they performed three songs, but two of them were combined together. We'll listen to a little more of it, maybe. Let's see what we can get over here. Nope. And you're crazy if you thought I wasn't going to show you my introduction to the Plasmatics, Wendio and the Boys, introduced by Lawrence Welk. This was the 27th episode or the 15th episode of season 2. I saw this in the Dominican Republic, of all things, on a top loader VCR that survived very well. Now, Wendy, you were telling America to do what here now?
Turn off your TV set! Ready? One, go! 15, 2, 2!
So this song is called Living Dead off their first LP, New Hope for the Wretched, one that I do own. I've owned it in LP and CD form. So there's the television set. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. Wendy was a force of nature. We didn't know what they were going to do. And scantily clad with a mohawk. Jean Beauvoir on the bass had a mohawk. Richie Stotts had a mohawk. Wes Beach did not. And I'm sorry, I forget one of their many drummers. They went through drummers like Spinal Tap did. But let's watch Wendy destroy a bit of Americana. Anyway, and then the next performance, I want to say, what did they? Butcher Baby, which is where they destroy. She chainsaws a guitar in half, which to the guitar loving me didn't like that, but I understand the symbolism behind all of it. It was I just love this band. They're as hard and heavy as anything. Probably the hard. Well, probably the hardest band, especially when they got into their metal years, Coup d'etat, etc. And Wendy's solo album. But Wendy, you are missed. So here we have an episode 16, or 17, pardon me, episode 5 of the second season from 1980. And it features one of my other favorite bands. I did a retrospective of them many years ago, well, early on. It is Split Ends.
I got you. That's all I want. I won't forget. That's a whole lot. I don't go out. Now that you're in.
So there's our lead singer there. There were two lead singers, the Finn brothers. I want to say, when did Tim Finn and I forget who the other Finn brother was. Both have gone on to do many other things. Neil and Tim, and I don't know which one is which, but they started out as more avant-garde. But then about this time, they kind of veered into what they called the new wave phase, with this hit charting a bit, and then the follow-up from I don't know if this is from Wiata. This is from True Colors, and then Wiata. Oh wait, maybe this is from Wiata. Yes, One Step Ahead was the next year. Was the next one. So but this probably was their American TV debut, and it's such a wonderfully subversive song because you think he's talking about how wonderful it is to be in love, and he's gets into a little bit of stalkery business here later on.
Times we shout, that's no problem. Well, I don't know why sometimes I get right. You can see my eyes, tell that I'm not lying.
Look at that bank of keyboards he had there. So the band, I this is like their version of Psycho Killer, really, but or any other stalking song, but one way or another. But I think that Talking Heads and Split Ends probably would have made a phenomenal double bill, and I would have paid lots of cash money to see that. All right, and let's move along here. I think it is about time for station identification. You are watching Xenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters on KXNO, part of the Xenorama Broadcasting Network. We now return you to our regularly scheduled program. This is the Stray Cats making their U.S. television debut, the fourth episode of the third season, 1981 to 82. This must have gone on a bit longer because I remember watching this because I stayed up on Friday nights to see the show, mostly for the musical acts. It was the 41st episode overall, and they're about to perform Rock This Town. Once again, I do apologize for the quality here, but what do you want? Look at how young they were. I mean, so young. Looking as cool as can be, and they really did, because we didn't have band. I mean, that was one of the things when this new wave of music hit. What became now called the new wave music. No, American bands didn't look like this, and if they did, they weren't getting played. You had long-haired bands, and nothing wrong with long hair, but they dominated the, radio. I mean, you heard the same songs over and over. I'm sorry, but I really don't need to hear Stairway, Freebird, or Layla ever again in my life because I've heard them so much. But that's the radio's fault, not particularly the song's fault or the band's fault. They didn't tell them to play it. I'm sure they were glad to get the royalties. But Stray Cats, Split Ends, the Plasmatics, King Crimson, they all look different. He's such a good guitar player. Get out of here right away because they're going to rock this town. But unfortunately, that's going to be the last we hear of the Stray Cats, once again, due to length and possible copyright strikes. I was very hard pressed to choose between number 2 and number 1 because both of these bands are great live, and both of these songs that we're going to see are amazing. So, but I did put the Clash here at number 2, the only band that matters. Not a name they gave themselves, but their fans did. And they're performing. This is their second U.S. appearance. They went on to be on Saturday Night Live for Combat Rock later in '83, hosted by Opie Cunningham. But this is the Clampdown, and if you've been listening to or watching the show, you know how much I love that song. That is Topper there, the Human Metronome. Mick Jones. Well, that's not Mick Jones. That's Mick Jones. And Paul Simon on the bass. And, of course, the late Joe Strummer, possibly altered a bit. So, I mean, once again, this is such a. I didn't mean to actually stop it there, but it's such a time capsule. And Joe uh, was not shy about his drug use. I don't think I'm spilling any secrets here, but I would guess amphetamines just from the way he's. But it certainly elevated his performance. I'm not pro drug use at all, but you can't deny the energy of this band at the time. Let's listen to a little more of the clamp down here, shall we? And really, they're so good. I really have liked to have seen them in this time frame. All right, kick over that wall, cause governments to fall. Anger. Well, you know the rest of the words. Again, you can watch all these fully on YouTube. This is from the Shout Factory DVD set, probably from their channel. So, Shout, thank you for that. And now on to number one. This is another episode I stayed up for because I hadn't got to see them. This was the 50th episode of the series, the 13th episode of 1982. It is Kiss. Oh, you know what? The 12th episode, there was also the Cars, and that was the terrible one. My apologies. I've not seen the Touch and Go episode, but they are playing in support of the Elder, and I believe that's Melanie Chardoff and Kiss's two biggest fans, which would probably not one of their parents, but it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Band, Kiss!
So I think we all know I unabashedly love the LP. However, I would pay some more money if they do a double a bonus track CD with the outtakes of this, and I'll show you why here momentarily. Because I mean, they talk a lot about Ace not being fully invested in this, but this performance they play here for this is the Oath, is amazing. Paul plays a bit of the opening there, but the lead on here is something you don't hear on the LP, or you didn't because it was cut out. For some of it was. You only hear the beginning, which we'll just play all of it and see what happens here. This was Eric Carr's, also his debut, of course. Anthony and Matt, if they're watching this, they know this. Guys, if you ever want me on your show, let me know. Uh, um, Shameless plug there, but let's listen a little more to this right now. And you can hear the synthesizer in the background, which must be a track because I don't see a synth player, but they could have been behind the drum kit there. But that solo is amazing. And I've seen comments sometimes on this where they say Ace just winged it. There's no way you can wing a solo like that without throwing the band off. And this band, especially Gene and Paul at this point in time, were in control, and they would not have let him do that. So he had to have had permission. They knew he was going to play it. They played along. They came back in when he was supposed to. So he didn't wing the solo. That was a planned solo, and it's astounding, and it should have been on the LP. So I'm assuming that if they toured with this, we would have heard that. But anyway, I'd buy that double CD set if they'd release it. I know none of them like the album, but I think it's got some good stuff on it. It's just not a Kiss album per se. It's not, sex and violence and rock and roll. But that is our, well, let's see here. We're going to go back to some pictures momentarily. It's amazing to think that the Stray Cats LPs hadn't been released in America in 1982 by then. Although if you knew where to go, you knew where to find the imports, which Rocky Mountain Records and Tapes on Pearl Street Mall. There's a shot from the band, and there's the Fridays logo showing the audience, who was very enthusiastic, even for the worst parts. But so, having said all that, I hope you've enjoyed it. And Anthony, there's your 7-song Friday with that stupendous live version of The Oath, where I don't think they ever say the words The Oath in the entire song.
Hey, Carl.
Yeah, right.
Here's a little riddle for you.
All right.
What kind of bird always says the name of our next band?
Oh, I guess, tern? An Arctic tern?
And what sound does an Arctic tern make?
Backstreet Boys?
All right, tomorrow is Martial Arts Matinee, and we are going to be discussing the 1986 Charles Band classic, The Eliminators, which does have a tenuous grip or connection to Kung Fu, but it's quite a fun movie anyway. So until that next assignment, my fellow agents, this is X7 signing off and phasing out. And just remember, if you're a blade forged in flame, you will be fiery hot. Be seeing you.
In a hidden fortress concealed by impenetrable jungle dwells Dr. Abbott Reeves, a brilliant but devious scientist with the power to create.
Help the mandroid from the cage, Takata.
Any malfunctions? I had some trouble with this. Feels like a delay in the neurosynapse trigger.
And the will to destroy.
Move its memory and dismantle it.
It's half human.
He must be eliminated. Colonel Nora Hunter has the brains to mastermind the operation.
You need a full-time mechanic, my friend.
Fontana, the river rat.
What are you doing?
I saw this in a movie once.
When he finds himself in a tight spot, someone else has to pick up.